Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Josh Wittenkeller, better known as Jwittz, Chuggaaconroy, and Ted from BrainScratchComms to discuss Pokemon's 20th anniversary, which looks to be absolutely huge. So let's get started. Well guys, we have a lot coming from the Pokemon company this year. We got that brand new trailer which showed off the fact they're going to be distributing Mythical Pokémon each month starting in February. We're getting a new bundle, we're getting new card expansions, and we're getting the first 3 movies remastered, available to download digitally, which is kind of huge. But I'm kind of curious what you guys think about all this.
What I'm really excited for are the Mythical Pokémon distributions, because I see just so many people everywhere saying like, you know, oh, how do I get this one? And it's so sad to always tell them, I'm sorry you can't, because the last distribution for that was on an online service that ended like 5 years ago. Or you'll have to like go back and get some old game and do some crazy stuff with it that's really difficult to do nowadays.
My Pokemon Ranch hype.
Yes.
Oh god.
Or tracking down a pre-order version of Pokemon Coliseum to get Jirachi. Or something.
Yeah. Oh, and that was like, I remember that that bonus disc was the only way Jirachi was distributed in North America for like 10 years, and then Japan got an event for Jirachi, and then we didn't get that event.
Oh yeah, there was a big Twitter campaign and everything. I didn't realize that never ended up pulling through for us. That's actually really depressing.
For a long time, Jirachi, I guess until this, Jirachi is one of the hardest to obtain. I think they did an event for it eventually, though, but yeah, eventually.
Well, you guys just didn't wish hard enough. That's all.
Well, wish granted, I guess. They're dedicating, like, specific months to the mythical Pokemon, which is really cool. They're really hard to find, and they'll still be really hard to find because it looks like these are just online distributions, but at least you got another chance at them.
At least it's better than the in-store ones, though, because another thing that really hurt, or I'd get messages from kids back in the day saying, like, hey, I went to my local Toys R Us, and they told me they aren't doing the event, and they're like, why? Where can I go? And I would always have to break it to them, like, do you live in Canada? Yes, they don't do them in Canada.
Oh
yeah, that's rough.
That's just so weird.
It always hurt to do that.
Depending on where you live, you might have to drive, like, an hour at the shortest in order to get it if you don't happen to live like near a major area or anything. So it's always, I mean, granted, I get that the Pokemon like Celebi, Jirachi, Shaman, so on and so forth are supposed to be special, but in the age of the internet, they should be possible for everybody to get, no matter where they live. So I'm glad that they're doing this.
I think it's just pretty fun to see Pokemon. They're almost going like an all-out attack on all fronts. They're really trying to bolster the 20th anniversary brand across everything. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Pokemon will do stuff between like the card game, the video game, and the anime, and it can be maybe a little disjointed, but they're really trying to do something for everything. Whether it's like the new set that they've got going, the new games coming out on Virtual Console, or old games coming to the console the new bundle. Heck, they have a Superbowl ad.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, isn't it?
I looked it up. Superbowl ads, they're more expensive than ever this year. They cost $5 million to run a 30-second spot. So Pokemon probably had to think about it and go through a whole lot of talk before they approved this. I'm pretty close with Pokemon, and I know they're pretty conservative on just about everything. So it's interesting to see them take sort of these big risks that I would never expect them to do in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any word on what specifically they're going to be advertising during the Super Bowl, or is it just a Pokemon commercial? Like, are they going to advertise Pokemon Go or Token, or is it just not confirmed yet?
I don't think it's known.
I don't remember 100% what they said, but I remember they said it was going to be framed around sort of this. There's this new phrase that they're throwing around. Like sometimes they'll have something like "play Pokemon," or they'll bring back "gotta catch 'em all." The current phrase that they're trying to build everything around is "train on." So it's going to be some kind of train on themed ad, which is neat. It's the idea of like, you know, you've been. I almost like that phrasing. It sort of respects the people that have been playing for so long. Train on is, you know, keep fighting the good fight. I don't know. I like it.
Battling the good battle.
Yeah.
To be honest, for a Super Bowl spot, the only thing that makes sense, like, as far as that kind of demographic and whatnot, Pokemon Go seems to be the big one, I think, to do anything with, unless they're just doing all-encompassing Pokemon Ad. Pokemon Go seems to be the big one, because it has that everybody has a mobile phone. Everybody's would be able to download Pokemon Go and do what you will with it. And to advertise it to that many people would be huge for the game and great advertising.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't think it would make sense to make an ad saying, like, this big blanket of things at once. It's best to focus on one thing, though, because it is only a short amount of time, and you are trying to make it resonate with people. You're not trying to be like, hey, we're doing the trading card game, we're, like, releasing a new movie, we're releasing Pokemon Red and Blue in the eShop, and we're doing Pokemon Go, and also we're doing mythical distributions. I kind of think it makes more sense to just focus on one thing, and I agree with you that Go makes a lot of sense.
Not to mention that I think since the Super Bowl audience is basically everyone in America, I believe that Pokemon Go, I think, is probably the game out of all the stuff that they have planned for this year that has the most widespread reach, because, again, you're going to get a bunch of 20-something people who maybe haven't thought about Pokemon since they were 10 years old, and then they suddenly see this game where they can catch Pokemon in the real world and they'll become 10 again. So I think that they're probably going to aim at that kind of sort of nostalgia as well.
Either that or Red and Blue on the eShop. I think that'd probably be the second best one to do, because that would reinvigorate the interest of a lot of people that haven't thought about it for years. And not directly related to the 10th anniversary, but can I just say how cool that is? That they are doing a Mew event for Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and it gives you an unlock to get them in Red and Blue as well.
Oh, wait.
I didn't hear about that.
Oh, they are?
That was announced a while back, like it was a few weeks ago.
That's really cool. I'm just surprised that they were, like, because after all these years that the eShop's been open, I thought that Pokemon was just gonna skip it entirely. It still baffles me that not only are Red and Blue and Yellow going on to the eShop, but they're keeping the trading intact, which I thought, like, I thought that was a lost cause. So, my pie in the sky dream is Pokemon Bank functionality and Gold, Silver, Crystal, but, That first one's probably not going to happen, but I do have hope that Gold, Silver, Crystal will see the eShop by the end of the year.
I swear I heard a rumor that said that it might be compatible with Pokemon Bank. I don't know where I heard that from, or if it was just like pie in the sky stuff, but
it would be weird, I know, just because the back end of the first two generations of Pokemon and like their stats are sort of different.
Well, the fact that there's only a single special stat in the first game.
Well, you can trade up Gen 1 Pokemon to Gen 2, and then they just apply the different stat distributions.
Oh, yeah.
I forget how the
between 1 and 2 it exists, but you could never go from 2 to 3, for example.
I thought that the issue was that because there's a wider range of IVs in Gen 3, that you wouldn't be able to bring the Gen 3 Pokemon down. So, I mean, you could I think it's possible to bring the Pokemon up. I mean, they'd have lower stats, but at this point, you're not bringing them up because of the stats. You're bringing them up because you love those Pokemon. You've been playing with them, and so on and so forth. So, I would absolutely love if they could get it to work. I don't know if it will happen, but that's my like dream goal, basically.
What my personal dream goal is, and this is something that I hear nobody talk about, and I personally wasn't even aware of this until about a month ago. It's that if you play Pokemon Red and Blue on the Super Game Boy for the Super Nintendo, not the Game Boy Player for the GameCube, only the Super Game Boy, it'll actually properly colorize the games. And so few people have ever experienced the game that way, and I feel like if that was included in the Virtual Console release, that would be just an awesome new feature that a lot of people have never seen.
That would be pretty wild.
Just having the game in color. I remember that, actually. My friends used to play on the Super Game Boy all the time.
Yeah, not many people seem to know that exists, and a lot of people will pop it into like a Game Boy Player for the GameCube and not really, it doesn't colorize it for that one though, but no, for a Super Game Boy it actually does.
It didn't do that either for, I remember you could play Red first two gens on the Stadium games.
Yeah.
And they didn't colorize it there either, did they?
No,
you did get a speed-up option though, I think.
Oh yeah, Dodrio speed.
Oh yeah.
the original emulator speed option. For those of you who don't want to go through the text at a molasses pace.
It was so funny, just like
nice.
biking around and like slamming into like a wall that's like 50 feet away in like 1 second.
Mach Bike version 0.8?
The one thing that I'm like sort of weird on, if they don't colorize them, they'd be black and white, or like just their original like slightly tinted color. However, they're going to do that. If it's not fully colorized, though, I've started wondering like, oh well, I guess I want the yellow version then, right? Because it has slightly more features. Mm-hmm. But then these distributions actually don't come with yellow. The new pack that they have with the Charizard and Blastoise faceplates on a new 3DS. So I'll probably still have to buy yellow. If it turns out that you can't.
It's just like back in the day. You already own red and blue, now you gotta buy yellow. So
yeah, that's how they
experience.
Get you. You gotta catch them all, Chugga.
It is interesting that this is a new Nintendo 3DS and not an XL, just so they can offer up those faceplates.
Japan only has, they have 2DS versions for their sort of like bundle, which is really interesting. They're cool looking 2DSs, but they're just like slightly like see-through colored plastic of like green, red, and blue. Mm-hmm. And I actually feel like I would rather have the new 3DS XL unit with just big classic Ken Sugimori art over it. I think they're pretty cool.
That would look great. Just his artwork is just so iconic with the series nowadays, or just after so long. And maybe even just new artwork that he did and put it on the back of an XL. I think that would get a lot of people. But the faceplates look nice.
I like seeing Sugimori's like watercolor look that he had going during the older days coming back. Like, not for new artwork though, but just seeing it on the covers and stuff like that again, because his art is still good. His art is fantastic though, but I do like his older style that we haven't really seen a lot from him in a long time.
Yeah, there's something about the style that was in the original Gen 1, and it's still mostly kept over to Gen 2 as well, where the art seemed a little bit less rounded to me, and it had a very sharp presentation that I enjoyed. And again, I love the art in the later games too, especially Gen 5 and Gen 6. I would love to see, them try to draw like new poses of Gen 1 Red and so on in that sort of same art style, because you can actually look at drawings that Sugimori did, like compare the gym leader drawings for the original Ruby Sapphire and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and the art has actually improved significantly. I would love to see like his 20 years later, what is his reinterpretation of these original designs. So I think that'd be neat.
I think it'd be fair to like see a new take on a few Pokemon, but I don't think that we would see it for like all 150 though, because this is just a port of an older game that they're selling for a few bucks. I don't think.
Yeah, we'd probably get the starters in Pikachu. We probably wouldn't get like Muck or anything.
No.
Back before Pikachu lost all that weight.
Yeah, I like how the new 20th anniversary plush, the first piece of merchandise they revealed that I know of, I saw this on Twitter. It was actually a fat Pikachu plushie.
Oh wow!
No, yeah, they're very proud of bringing him back.
Yeah, bringing back fat Pikachu.
All sizes of Pikachu are beautiful.
Yeah. Plus size Pikachu, collect them all.
Speaking of merch, can I just say that red Nendoroid with the Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise looks amazing, and I want it, and it's a shame that Nendoroids are so expensive, because I really wanted the N one that they released last year, but that was like $50, and I can't even imagine how much the Trainer Red one is going to be, but I want it. I want it so bad.
Yeah.
It is nice to see them actually getting those things with a bit more like of a wide release, at least through their like PokemonCenter.com. I know that doesn't deliver to everybody, but it's at least one step further than having to go through like obscure Japanese import sites. I remember back in the day, I had to like go through all these hurdles just to get the Cynthia Nendoroid, which I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. Then a couple months later, they're like, "Oh, just kidding. You can get this pretty easily, actually, if you live in the States." So I was sort of bummed in that weird, like, oh, I thought I had this cool exclusive thing that no one else had, and now everyone has it. But I would much rather they release things like that so that everybody can get a chance at them.
Yeah, because I totally agree with Ted that Nendoroid looks so awesome. There's something just purely nostalgic about seeing Red with those 3 starters, and I'd love to pick it up as well. I wonder how rare it's actually going to end up being.
Yeah, my guess would be like a limited release, but not extremely hard to get. They'll probably push at least the stuff that goes to the center. They'll push it for at least a couple of days once it comes out, so you'll probably have a decent window at them. I'm thinking better than third wave amiibo. So, take from that what you will.
Hey, you can put it next to all of your amiibo collection and pretend that Pokemon Trainer made it into Smash 4. You know.
Rip.
Well, speaking of all that merch, what do you guys think about the other anniversary products that they showed during that trailer, where they have the 20th anniversary logo, where it's all made up of Pikachu and the other starters?
That's an adorable logo.
Oh, I was just about to say, I don't like the logo very much. It's kind of weird to me.
I was going to say the same thing. I actually think it looks really creepy.
So we're kind of split on that.
I see how it is. I don't know. I think the 20, the cheeks is cool. I like the idea of at least them acknowledging, like, okay, Pikachu's our mascot, but Pokemon is built over several different creatures. I thought it was cool.
I like the art when on some of the anniversary merchandise that you can see in the trailer, they actually have one where all of the Pokemon are colored the way they should be. I like that better than the one where most of them are yellow and Pikachu's face, and the ones where the ones on the ears are black. I don't know, something about it just doesn't look quite right to me, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but the art with all of them properly colored I think is actually pretty cute, so.
Yeah, it's... I like if you open up, like, Pokemon20.com is, like, their big website. You can, like, see them all form together like some giant, like, Power Ranger Megazord. It's the ultimate horde battle. And that looks cool. Smaller, I get it. It's not quite as clean. But I think it's cute.
When I first saw it, I was like, when I saw the overall picture, like, of Pikachu's head, I'm like, it looks a little weird. I'm like, eh. But when I started looking at it closer and seeing all the individuals, I'm like, okay, that is pretty cool and pretty cute. So I lean a little bit more towards Josh, but I can definitely see how it's not to everybody's cup of tea.
So we have a tiebreaker. What is the? I'm guessing if we're going off of, like, Worlds rules, it's based on timer, and Ted and I got our opinions at first, so I guess that means we win.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah! Air 5.
Oh, boy. But, so, do any of us actually still play the Pokemon card game?
Don't you dare say that to me. I want you to rephrase that question.
Okay.
Anyway.
Does any of us besides Josh still collect the Pokemon cards? Still collect Pokemon cards?
Okay. I have a very sad story about the Pokemon trading card game. Back when I was a young kid, this was Gen 1, I kept all my Pokemon cards in a shoebox, and I barely knew how to play the game. And a friend of mine lived across the street from me, and we didn't really know how to play, but we made up our own games with the cards. And so, after being done there for the day, I went back to my house, but I left the shoebox of cards outside in her backyard, and it rained that night. And the next day, they were all ruined. There was probably like 200 cards in that shoebox.
Oh,
and
no.
They were just all gone.
I had a very similar, like, weather damage story. It was a hailstorm. I had my binder out, and the binder was not strong enough. Could not protect the collection.
I know your pain, good sir.
But I guess then this is sort of my area of stuff to talk about. Since I still do play the Pokemon trading card game. I don't compete at Worlds anymore like I used to, but that's because we do commentary now for Pokemon Nationals and Worlds for the trading card game. Mm-hmm. But I still keep up to date with the Pokemon competitive card game. It's really interesting because they actually have two distinct formats right now. One that goes all the way back to the black and white cards called Expanded. And then they also have the standard format, which has the current rotation of sets, which it's cool to see it move from event to event. But there was one story circulating these cards that was actually really frustrating me. You could even see it. It was like on like Kotaku and Polygon. They were talking about how like your base set Pokemon cards are going to be re-released. I'd see clickbaity titles like your base set Charizard's about to go down in value, and it was just a complete false report that just caught fire, spread through the internet, and it's not true at all. These sets just have like base set Pokemon in them. They're not reprinting the base set. That would be absurd.
Yeah, and it's like, even if they were reprinting the base set, it's like the copyright date at the bottom of the card is going to be different, and any collector is going to know to look for that.
Yeah, it was just bad reporting. It made me mad. But
bad reporting?
I can't believe it, but no, the set that they're releasing is just called Generations. It looks like it's going to be a mashup of some past, like, more exclusive, like, Japan collector sets in the X and Y era of cards. We've seen sets like these where we sort of eventually have to compile some of the exclusive Japanese cards. They have some like Evolution EX themed decks that we didn't end up getting over here that we'll probably get in the Generations set. So if I had to do an early guess, I actually think the Generations set is not going to be that strong in terms of the cards that are in it, because the promotional cards are usually a little weaker. But they often have like really fun art and really fun characters. We don't know everything that's in it, but it's not going to be your base set reprinted again, because that would be ridiculous.
I'm actually, just listening to you talk about the card game, I'm actually a little intimidated because you have all these like rules and stuff that you're throwing out. I was like, I don't remember that at all from the base set.
No,
like,
if you Derek, if you were to dig out your cards from 15 years ago, none of them would be legal anymore.
Oh gosh.
So you'd have to go and buy new ones. So
yeah, things have changed a lot. The Pokemon trading card game is infamous now for its absurd power creep over the years. You have like, for example, the highest base set HP from the first set of Pokemon cards is Chansey. Had that monstrous 120, and Chansey was like one very exclusive, like lone example of a base Pokemon that doesn't evolve, that has all that HP.
Oh yeah.
And now today, there's a Wailord EX that you play down as a basic, because they have rules where some EX Pokemon, you don't have to start with Wailmer or whatever. You can drop down a Wailord EX with 250 HP.
What the hell?
There's also Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre EX as well that have the same level of HP, and Primal Groudon was played because it was a counter tube itself.
That's insane.
Those are like 240. But those are even one step harder, because you still have to do the Primal Evolution to that stage up, so it takes 2 cards. But Wailord you can slap down at just 250 on it.
I've seen the Wailord strategy, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, Pokemon, you can actually find it on YouTube. I casted it with my friend Kyle Pukasukovic. He used to run a Pokemon TCG channel. Now it actually works for Pokemon. So
nice.
he's
Wow, that's cool.
He's in the know on this stuff, and he never tells me anything, which means he's probably doing his job. He does mostly TCG division stuff, which is really cool. He's already started doing awesome things. If you've ever been on the Pokemon website and noticed that there are better articles about the Pokemon trading card game, I don't think he's signed them, but I have a 90% chance, or 90%, I guess, gut instinct that they were probably written by him.
Nice.
So it's cool to see stuff develop in that sphere, because the Pokemon TCG needs more people who have actively played it. He was also absurdly good at the game when he played it. Probably the best Nationals player ever. But our last Nationals, you can find it on YouTube, Pokemon Nationals 2015. There's a Wailord deck that just stalls, as all it does is you soak up damage and heal. It doesn't run any energy. It doesn't attack. It just stall your opponent out until they run out of cards. And it takes like an hour a game. And it's pretty funny. It's definitely not your typical Pokemon match. But there's an example. Things have changed a lot in the TCG.
What does the mythical Pokemon card collection that they also advertise bring to the table? Do you know?
That's going to bring a lot of some of the like exclusive promo arts that we've gotten. I'm not 100% sure which of them have come from Japan already or which are going to be exclusive, but for the most part, most of those aren't super playable. I think they have a separate set coming for each mythical Pokemon though. And this thing is, Pokemon cards aren't just played. A lot of people still just collect them because they're an awesome sort of treasure trove of Pokemon art that you can't find in the video games or other forms of media. And they all have fantastic art. So it'll be a lot of fun for collectors to get all these exclusive sets, but maybe a little annoying for collectors because it looks like you're going to have a dozen different sets that are each dedicated to one card that you'll probably end up having to buy.
That's on the note of the art, though, that is one of the things I've always liked most about the TCG is just how many different art styles they take on, and just how many styles it succeeds at, really. Because you'll have some that are like very traditional Pokemon art. You'll have others that are very digital. You'll have some that are like clay models. Others that are like really abstract styles. You don't see that in a lot of card games though, because like a lot of other card games that have like really good art though, it's generally one defined style. But in Pokemon, you get all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, I always liked looking at I mean, I haven't been serious about the Pokemon card game in about 15 years, but I always loved that the cards showed the Pokemon doing stuff that was more dynamic than what you would see in the games, and even to some extent the anime. I bought a starter set of Pokemon cards just a couple of months ago just so that I could have a case for Amiibo cards. But it still holds true. The art's still great, so I'm glad for people who seriously collect the trading card game, because it looks like it's going to be a very eventful couple of year for them, basically. So
Yeah, the best cards are the ones that tell little stories.
Oh,
Yeah.
that-
Oh my god, yeah, they just had ones. My favorite were like, there were 3 different Pokemon. It was all the Tepig Emboar
yes,
line.
that's the one I was thinking of.
You see it grow up as the families growing up with them. Those are beautiful.
Aww.
There's ones where like
Oh, it's gorgeous.
cold Natu that are
Yes,
are
Natu and
freezing in a
Bouffalance.
winter storm, but then they find warmth in Bouffalant's afro.
Just that one's my favorite, Natu and Bouffalance.
Oh no, I love the one with the Tepig, and yeah, with the kids, and then with the adults, and then their grandparents, and then they have grandkids playing with the final evolution. It's just like, it sort of breaks your heart, like seeing that stuff. I love artwork that shows Pokemon in sort of a natural setting, you know, hanging out with humans and actually promoting that whole Pokemon and people living together rather than just battling or just sort of hearing about it but not really able to see it, you know? Alright guys, well we had so much to talk about that we actually went on for another 25 minutes. So tune in tomorrow for the conclusion of our Pokemon 20th anniversary discussion, where we'll cover the remastered movies and of course the games both announced and unannounced. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, and definitely check out more from all of our guests, Jwittz, Chuggaaconroy, and Ted of BrainScratchComms. All of them make great Pokemon content. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Pokemon and other things gaming. Until next time guys, bye.